Okay, great question. I think one thing I will need to quickly respond to is to know that for us to recognize the difference between an achievement exam and a ranking exam. An achievement exam is an exam that tests your competence in a subject. For example, WAEC NECO is an achievement exam. It tests your knowledge of a subject. A ranking exam, like JAMB, is a test that is designed to rank candidates. So that is why in an achievement exam, you can pass or you can fail. So that's why there is a F9 in JAMB, in WAEC. That's why there's an A1. That's why there's a B2. In JAMB, because it's a ranking exam, there is no fail mark. That's why you don't fail JAMB, because it's a ranking exam. The goal is to know number one, number two, number three, number four for all the 1.9 million or 2 million that wrote the exam. Therefore, that fixation on 200 as 50% is not a fair thing to focus on, because the goal is not to see who got above 200. In a ranking exam, that's not the goal. There's a whole section of education called measurement and tests. And part of what you are taught in measurement and test is when you are designing a ranking exam, your goal is not to look for pass or fail. Your goal is to look for ranking. Now, if we focus on the 200, then we miss a point, because we are now applying an achievement measure on a ranking exam. Personally, I'm not too bothered with who got over 200 or not. I actually think, remember, if we had enough space for all those that wanted to go to our institutions, we wouldn't rank them. The reason why we are ranking them is because there is not enough space. I also, and let me use that to segue to the question you asked the professor earlier. I've taught in 5 higher institutions around the world. Nigeria is the only country where people write 3 exams to go to a college. In Nigeria, you write WAEC. If your parents are rich enough, you write NECO. If you are rich enough, you write GCE. Then you write JAMB. Then you write post-UME. I don't know anywhere else in the world where students write 3 external examinations to gain admission to a college or to a university. In the US, you write your SAT. You can write it many times. So it's important for us to go back to the history, and I wish that was where we started from. The conditions that led to the creation of JAMB has changed. And let's be very old ourselves. Remember, it wasn't the federal government that created JAMB. It was the Committee of Vice Chancellors that made a request for an examination body. And then the federal government decided to set up a committee to recommend a solution on university admission. The committee recommended 2 different bodies, one a matriculation body and one an examination body. Submitted a report to the military government in 1978, and the military government merged the 2 and created Joint Admission and Matriculation Board. If you notice, the word exam does not exist in the name of JAMB. Compare it to WAEC, West Africa Examination Council. Compare it to NECO, National Examination. The word exam does not exist in JAMB because that is not the primary purpose of JAMB. There are 5 rules that JAMB has as mandate, of which writing exam is just one of it. There are 4 other mandates it has. But because we have now decided to focus only on the exam, that's why we're having the problem we're having. The biggest responsibility of JAMB is to get people to universities and our institution. And let me ask you this question. Check the data in the last 5, 6, 7, 8 years. JAMB hasn't been able to get people into higher institution because that clearinghouse role of JAMB, if you look at it, JAMB is a kind of a stock exchange where there's supposed to be enough transactions that facilitate access to higher institution. JAMB has not been effective in that direction. So I tell people, we all talk about the exam and we'll talk about the exam, but the real role of JAMB, or the role of JAMB that is irreplaceable, is that sorting and getting people to higher institution. I'm going to just say the last thing about this. If you go to Canada as comparison, Ontario, for example, when a student gets to year 12, he writes his school exams. He will have been writing from his year 10. He writes his school exam. That child does not do any other exam to go to university in Canada. There is no WAEC equivalent in Canada that he's going to write. There is no JAMB equivalent that is going to write. There is no post-UME equivalent. Now, that is what happens in Canada. Let's go to UK. Think about a girl who attends Queen's College in Sabo in Lagos. If a girl, the closest school to Queen's College is the University of Lagos. If a girl wants to attend a university in in UK, what does she need? She will write WAEC in her school and send that WAEC result or WAEC structure to the university in the US, in Canada, in England, and she will be given admission with only a WAEC. If that same girl who attends Queen's College wants to go to Unilag, which is just a few kilometers down the road in Akoka, that girl will write WAEC, she will write NECO, she will write JAMB, she will write post-UME. Question, why is it that that girl needs to write 3 exams to go to a university in Lagos that is poorly ranked compared to a university that is in top 20 in the world? Why is WAEC acceptable by Canada, by England, by UK, by Wales, by Australia, by the USA? But in Nigeria, that we have a NECO, we have a WAEC, those things are not sufficient to gain admission. We are just burdening young people with unnecessary exams. That doesn't help. And that's what we need to stop.